Joy, and this is my first time in Vancouver, but if you're from here, join the Black Band Club.
What's up, Black Fan Club? It's your boy Ryan Davis, and I'm in your city. It's all coming together. It can be a family reunion.
Yo, what's up, Black Fan? What's up, everybody? Yo, all my people, all my Caribbean brothers, my Haitian brothers, my Zimbabwe, Nigerian, everybody. Black Fan, come see your man. Oh, boom, 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 boom.
Welcome to Black Van Club on the Mic, a digital platform for Black creatives and events in Vancouver. I'm your host, Ruby, and today I'm really excited to be speaking with an incredible guest, award-winning South African contemporary artist with a foundation in dance, Lorin Sookool. Lorin specializes in performance, direction, facilitation, and writing. Lorin is in Vancouver as part of the Vancouver International Dance Festival, where she'll be performing her solo piece on March 5th and 7th, Woza Wenties, a powerful work that blends dance, storytelling, and history in a way that really makes you think. Her work explores themes of identity, colonization, and the role of the Black African body in dance. Welcome to the show, Lorin, and welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I got to say, your pronunciation of my name and the title of my work was so on point. Well done.
Oh my gosh. I was practicing. I was like, I hope I say it right. So
yeah, you got it, girl.
I got approval from the creator herself. So
wait.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad to have you here and speak more about your work that you're doing and what Vancouver event goers can expect. So for those who might not be familiar with work and yourself, can you give us a little bit of an introduction, how you describe who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Okay, cool. Well, I describe myself as an artist with a foundation in dance. Because I figured over time that, dance for me really it's the medium through which I communicate. I think being an artist is about wanting to communicate and have a conversation about certain things that might not be that widely spoken about or, not comfortable to talk about. And so it becomes about, fine-tuning the medium and using the medium and questioning the medium that you come into your artistry with. So yeah, but my training is all in dance. I am a Han that basically passed through like studio formats, things, modern dance, ballet, hip hop, tap dance, gymnastics, like name it,
Wow.
did it. And I kind of always knew that I wanted to continue dancing. And then my folks were just like, okay, cool. If you want to do that, then you need to study it. 'Cause it's not real if you don't have a paper, right?
Oh my gosh. Yes,
So I was
African
like,
parents.
exactly. But I'm grateful that they were at least supportive of the fact because a lot of, not everybody even has that support.
No,
There's always,
I can definitely relate. I'm African. I'm from Zimbabwe originally, so I understand when it comes to the arts, and sometimes not through their own fault, but like you said, through other forces, and
the condition.
they may not understand that the art forms that are there and available for their children, to express themselves outside of the norms that they were raised through. In terms of the dance, you said you were in it from a young upbringing. So was this through just school or through friends, or this was something that you just naturally were inclined to?
Well, it's a bit of both. So I was at, I'll backtrack slightly and say that, so the title of my work is Woza Wenties. Woza means come in isiZulu, and then Wenties is the affectionate term for a so-called colored area that I come from, and maybe we can unpack that term a bit later. But Wentworth is an area specifically allocated for people labeled colored in Durban, South Africa. And my mother moved us out of Wentworth when I was like 3.5 years old. So we moved to like, a previously allocated like white area, which was now under the apartheid system. So post 1994 democracy, 3.5, we moved to this area that was now becoming, populated with people of the different races. However, the school that I went to was very much, this is how you talk, this is how you walk, this is how you be. And so it's important to note that, I discovered dance through that kind of avenue. But the way I got into it was quite fluid and organic. I was 5 years old. I was in the class just before you go to level 1, like grade 1. And I just noticed that these girls, like little girls, would dress into pink outfits on Fridays and then go across to the big school. And I was just really curious as to what it is that they were doing in those really strange looking clothes, right? Like, why are you guys dressed head to toe? Because I was also quite a tomboy as a kid. Like,
Yeah.
I had scars on my knees, like my hair was always standing up, and like these pink leotards and pink tights, pink skirts were like just so strange.
Foreign.
Yeah. So anyway, one day my mom used to pick me up late because she was she worked quite a bit. One day after school, I just followed those girls to the big school, and I fell in love with what they were doing. We were running around on our toes, we were imagining things, and it just seemed like the most creative, free thing that I had experienced, and it involved my body. And I guess I had that natural inclination to moving with my body. So I told my mom, yo, Ma, listen, there's this thing that's happening, and you just need to get me involved. So I literally took her hand when she picked me up, and I took her across the road to the teacher, and I said, you meet you and make a plan. I need to come to these classes. And so it started with ballet at school. And then eventually I discovered there was a dance studio in my area, picked up modern and tap and all of that. And yeah, so age 5 and continued all the way. So it's been many years dancing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing that you had that intuition and that initiative to even, lead your mom and be like, this is what I want to do, because
Oh,
most of
yeah.
us go through life, we don't even know what we want to do. So the fact that you recognize that, at least recognize your love for it at a young age, that's amazing. And thank you
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sharing that.
Sure, no
Yeah.
problem. I like to say that dance found me in that sense. And I think, yeah, I'm naturally just quite a person who goes for what they want, man, like if I am pulled towards something, then I do follow it, so those combined have led me here.
So I know you touched on it a little bit in your explanation earlier. So about Woza Wenties and your, I guess, racial background and I guess political history of South Africa in terms of
Mm,
apartheid, um, being colored, and also navigating the African space. So I wonder if
mm,
you could elaborate more on that. So I guess for people in North America, they wouldn't may not understand the
mm,
nuances, I guess, in the colored culture and in the
mhm,
context of the South African and greater African um, culture and diaspora.
mhm, mhm.
Hmm.
Well, first of all, these racial categories are, they're a legacy of the apartheid system,
Hmm.
as you've already mentioned, which in itself is a legacy of the colonial imperial mission, right? Divide and conquer. And basically that meant that the white minority, white supremacy, even though it was the minority, um, basically treated all other races differently. So the darker your skin was, the worse you were treated. the lighter your skin was, slightly better treated. But if you were not white, then you were not treated as well as white. And treated means, access to, voting power, which bench to sit on, which sea to swim in, which place you can live in, what kind of education you get. And so colored people, which are, it's not a homogenous group by any means. It simply means that there is mixed ancestral lineages. I know in other contexts, people use the word Creole or creolization. It's over time, this grouping of people, because of the systematized way of putting people in, allocating spaces to these different people, over time, people who look something like me, so like lighter brown, a culture forms. And so when people speak about colored identity, they talk about, the ways of being, the foods that are eaten, the music that's played, the art that's happening. This forms over time and becomes a kind of culture. But as I said, it is, it's not a homogenous story. And also, South Africa is quite a big country. So I'm from east of South Africa, so Durban. And colored people from Durban have a different way of speaking, a different way of being, to say colored people from the Western Cape, which is, there's actually more of a microphone on that and how the Cape and how the people move there and the Malay influence, the food. There's more discussion around that aspect of colored identity is on my side. So I think coming up in the dance industry, before I even say that, let me just say that this is a contested term. Let me mention that. More and more people are refusing this term. And I personally believe that one of the brutal successes of this term was to psychologically de-link colored people from their African lineage. Because, for example, in my instance, moving to this previously white area, white allocated area, going to a, quote unquote white school and being encouraged to speak English, and also being brought up by parents who also had a, let's say the kind of psychological, the perception that is, towards that kind of Eurocentric thing, English is right, and, Christianity is right, and all these things. This means that I also wasn't encouraged in my home to maintain my links to African identity. And what's very important to me is like African spirituality. I've had to like dig and figure out things on my own as I, awakened with time. And so, coming up in the dance industry and watching a lot of the works, which were actually mostly created by quote unquote Black African people, I never really felt a sense of resonance with what I was seeing. Obviously, right? Because I had a different story. And even then, when I began to travel abroad and started to see other works from the continent, I still felt like I wasn't seeing my own story. And so this work kind of arose from that underlying bubbling feeling, what is my conversation? What is my story? And how do I bring this this story to the stage? Global kind of awareness, have I answered your question?
No, you went into very detail. Like,
okay,
you definitely spoke on that. I think that is something that people hasn't been brought to light or educated, the nuances of that in the global scale. And I, like you said, I guess I never thought about the decolonization of the mind and the categories and that how it has affected us as Black Africans, as colored people, and causing almost a divide, but also causing also a unique experience as well that should be recognized and should be brought to the forefront. and
Sure.
be recognized. So, I guess based on that response and what you've shared, so your work obviously often challenges the traditional ideas and the systems that you shared. So, how do you hope your performance will make people think differently, and how you convey that through dance and your work?
Hmm. Let me start by expressing what I've been thinking and writing
Hmm.
about as of late. There's the big D word, decoloniality, which exists because of coloniality, uh, which I think, um, and I know, we know that it is not to decolonize, it's beyond a metaphor. There are
Hmm.
actually institutions and systems that need to be decolonized. But there's also an ongoing coloniality of our perception, which I see all the time at home, and I see it on the dance stages. So even if the steps are quote unquote Afrofusion or quote unquote African contemporary, which I think that those terms can be questioned themselves. The form, the overall like structure of how a work is presented is still very much something that has been fed to us, you know.
Hmm.
And I think part of this work of decoloniality, which is an ongoing rehearsal and experiment, has to be, and we can't be afraid of failure in trying to find other ways that center our own subjectivities. Um, I'm just looking for other ways of sharing a
Hmm.
dance-based work. And I hope that Woza Wenties is doing that in some way. It's dance-based, so don't come expecting anything actually.
Hmm.
And however, come expecting to see this all that I'm talking about expressed through the movements. The steps are not steps that I've been given, or I'm
Hmm.
using steps that I've been given to say something. Funny story, I won't expose the platform, but one of the platforms I offered the work on, my vinyl player blew just before
Oh,
I,
wow.
yeah, there was an issue with tech, and just
Hmm.
before like blah, vinyl player bust, I had no sound.
Wow.
But I'm not the type to, get a fright and run away. I'm like, okay, if that's what the universe is giving right now, then that's what we're doing. So I did it without sound. And I realized through that what I'm talking about is visible in the movements itself. It's not driven by
Hmm.
music, which is often a lot of what
Yeah.
dance can be, right? It's like without the music, then not to say that the dance doesn't have like an embodied music, but
Mm.
the music often drives the movement. I'd like to believe that I'm I'm not doing that, and so this is just one way that I think and hope that the work is kind of like interpolating like expectations of what a dance-based work is, and really putting in the front like the conversation that I'm trying to have, like the message that I'm trying to portray. Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's eye-opening. And also, I actually went and looked at on your YouTube page. You had a little snippet of Woza Wenties, like a little snippet from I
Mhm.
guess a past performance, and I was
Mhm.
just struck by the difference in the way you move your body, the presentation, even the stage, the way it was set up. Well, from that performance, I'm not sure if it's the same
Mhm. Mhm.
every performance.
Yeah, it does.
And it was extremely, I guess, powerful. Even the small clip, it was powerful and was also unique from what I've traditionally seen in terms of dance coming out of Africa. Because I guess there is a stereotype, and that's in
Yes,
itself as well, about
yes,
what African dance is,
is.
which is
Yes.
traditional, the stuff
Back
that
in the
maybe
past.
is presented to tourists,
Yes,
which is also culturally accurate to our past, but also I guess it
yes,
doesn't leave room for the contemporary aspect or
definitely.
different
I know.
forms or modalities of
Yes,
dance and how it is presented. And
yes,
you are presenting it in a different way that is not within the stereotype, I
yes,
guess,
yes,
of what African dance is, in quotes, if you can see. The
yes.
people who are listening, it's in air quotes, African. Um, so yeah, thank you for sharing that.
If I can add to that, my sister,
Hmm.
that is directly because of the fact that I do not fit into the stereotype of what
Hmm.
quote unquote African is.
Yeah.
Why? And so when I say I felt disillusioned by what I was seeing, especially on international stages of what is quote unquote African, I had to then, in order to answer that question for myself, center my story, myself,
Hmm.
you know? Um, and what I also wanted to say was, oh, okay, this is a chat.
Hmm.
All the things that you said, yes. And, but also, um, I think, I think that, um, I'm a bit nervous to say it, but
No, say it. Go
I,
ahead.
I think that, when something becomes there's a certain success in
Hmm.
presenting work from the continent in a certain way, especially
Hmm.
internationally. And I don't know how different that is to European folk sitting and gawking at Sarki Bartman,
Hmm.
for
Mm.
instance.
A sort of voyeurism, a sort of
Yes.
performance, like a performance expectation to be, are you African enough? Or I
Hmm.
guess sort of curiosity that's
Hmm.
not so good in some ways.
Well, it just should be questioned, right? And
Hmm.
often, like, there are no shirts involved, like the
Yeah.
muscles are out, Uh,
Yeah.
the
Like,
drum is used in a certain way.
mm,
And I'm just like, how
I
honest are
guess,
we being and
yeah.
how contemporary are we being?
Yeah, I guess I could. I mean, I'm not a dancer, but I guess I could parallel that with certain expectations when Black people walk in the room of
Hmm.
performing Blackness or being Blackness or representing Blackness. And if you don't fit into that
Yes.
mold, it seems like you kind of upset the apple cart to say, or the
Yeah.
expectations that they have. And like, whoa, okay, this is a little bit different.
You
You
know,
know?
I feel like a lot of people listening will resonate with what you
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
said.
definitely.
And I
Def
think that as young people, we need to follow that dissatisfaction and that
hmm
that, that noticing. And in some ways, I feel like Woza Wenties is kind of like it's storytelling, it's an explanation of how and why I am the way I am as a mover.
hmm
But it's still in a way, okay, it's not very narrative because I don't think not narrative in a linear way. My stuff's not very
hmm
linear narrative. But I'm explaining. I'm like, okay, this is how, Lorin Sookool is this African dancing human. But moving forward, I feel like I'm just going to be making decisions knowing that. So, like, moving forward, like, you're like, people must not expect anything just because of color of skin,
hmm
gender, sexuality, place of origin. Like, no, because really
hmm
that's what we need to get to, like, just moving beyond all this horizontal dividing
Yeah.
nonsense, because the real problem is not a horizontal problem. The real problem is a vertical one, right? It's
hmm
our thing. And so, yeah, sure, lots to actually say on that topic.
Yeah, lots to unpack. There's so many. It's such a layered conversation.
Oh,
And I think, your work is doing the work in addressing that. I guess, and bringing to the forefront and addressing some of those things and challenging the system. I know we have a busy day tomorrow and the rest of the week. So, I guess last I could end up on what can you say to, I guess, a young Black or African or anybody who's interested, a person of color who's interested in dance and, maybe they're discouraged by the community around them, we're
Mm.
not so open to it, or they just don't know where to start. What can you say to them and in terms of pursuing their dreams and having their work and message um, be brought to light?
Um, I I led a workshop yesterday at the
Mm,
Society of Vancouver, and there was a young Black uh, female who came up to me afterwards and said how nice it was for her to be led by a Black woman and to be in a class where there were just other Black people, because right now dancing for them is just being in a room with white people, and that just has some like psychological things. Yeah, and I recognize the difficulty. I can have empathy for the difficulty it must be to be Black in this place, like being the minority. Like, yo, guys, yeah, no, it can't be easy. It can't.
no.
I mean, I live in a place where it's Black majority, but what we are fighting is a Eurocentric majority vision.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also tough, but yeah, when it's on the skin and it's every day and the racism is like subtle, and I
Mm-hmm.
experienced it myself this morning, like subtle,
Oh
subtle,
yeah, yeah. Vancouver, Canada is
flag,
the queen, the land of subtle racism.
flag.
It's there, but ever so pervasive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And of course, that gnaws away at
Yeah.
your confidence. It makes you doubt yourself, and so as a segue into my response, I just want to say, notice that, like, trust when your vibes are saying this is not it. Okay, you might not always have the room to speak it, but at least just notice it and don't doubt yourself because of how it's looking and feeling around you. Don't doubt yourself. What I want to say is move how you want to move in this world. Move how you want to move in the dance room. Move how you want to move professionally. Move how you want to move in the supermarket. Move how you want to move with people. Cut people off if they don't make you feel good. You
Mm-hmm.
know, add people to your team if they do make you feel good. Be yourself, and in doing that, you will find your community. You will find your people, and that transcends race also. Not to say that
Mm-hmm.
all people, pale humans, are all, we know this as well, but just notice that the system is not designed for your confidence raising and conscious raising. And so please make sure that you move how you want to move. And if you're also a mover, a dancer, that includes, and I say this now as a mother because I am a mom of a 4-year-old, and I don't have any models from home who have shown me what that might be like to be a mother and be a
Mm-hmm.
dancer.
Mm-hmm.
If when you fall pregnant or you rise in pregnancy, I like to say, then
Right,
you
right. I like
know, hey,
that one.
then you have to quit. You have to find something,
Yeah.
you have to stay at home. And I'm at a point where I have molded my life in a way that suits me. I've molded my career around me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not slaving to any system right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what I want to do when I want to do it. And ain't nobody can tell me nothing,
Mm.
because I am keeping the lights on. My kid and I are close. She's eating. I have friends. I'm having a good time. So uh, I feel even more confident now in moving how I want to move in this in
Mm-hmm.
life. And I wish I knew that earlier. So that's just what I want to say to the soul that might need to hear that now.
Oh, thank you. That spoke to me as well. It might not be dance, but it applies to what I'm doing here as well. So
Oh,
thank you for sharing that.
my
Thank you
pleasure.
for sharing that. Well, I think we've come to the conclusion of our episode, and I would like to thank you, Lorin, for coming on to this show. It was a pleasure having you on. And for those listening, Lorin will be performing March 5th and the 7th in
Hmm.
Vancouver at the Vancouver International Dance Festival, which is on, I guess, from March 2nd to the 22nd. It's on right now. You can go on their website to check out more information. I will link it in the episode description. And Lorin, if people want to keep in touch with you and follow your amazing work around the globe, where can they keep in contact or follow you?
Yeah, they can find me. I think the best place is probably Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You can just type in my name, but my spelling is like unique, so you got spelling
I
right.
can put it in.
Oh,
I'll put it
yeah,
in the
it's there.
description.
Yeah,
So I'll tag it in there so you can check it out.
cool.
And make sure you see this lovely, lovely soul perform in Vancouver this week. I'd like to thank you again and listening to this week's podcast of Black Fan Club on the Mic.
My name is Samara Joy, and this is my first time in Vancouver. But if you're from here, join the Black Dance Club.
What's up, Black Fan Club? It's your boy Ryan Davis, and I'm in your city. It's all come together. It can be a family reunion.
Yo, what's up, Black Fan? What's up, everybody? Yo, all my people, all my Caribbean brothers, my Haitian brothers, my Zimbabwe, Nigerian, everybody. Black Fan, come see your man.